Rome didn't build its empire with courage alone. It built it with debt. Everyone knows the Roman legions as an unstoppable force marching with honor and discipline. But behind those shiny helmets and sharp gladi was a brutally expensive reality. Food, weapons, roads, salaries, horse feed, siege engines. All of it meant money, and a lot of it. So how did Rome finance this massive war machine? And why does it still matter today? Because when you look closely at Rome, you see this. War wasn't won only on the battlefield. It was built into the financial heart of the system. And once the engine started, stopping was impossible. Expansion became not a choice, but an economic necessity. Sound familiar? In early Rome, the army was a citizen militia. If you owned land, you grabbed your weapon and went to fight. But as Rome grew, wars grew longer and farther away, and that model collapsed. The era of grab your spear and come was over. A professional army was needed. The state began paying soldiers small wages. Then came the real turning point. Conquest became a revenue model. Each new province equals new taxes, new slaves, new mines, new tribute. In short, war financed more war. But it didn't stop there. Rome didn't just collect taxes, it borrowed. Heavily. Especially during massively expensive periods like the Punic Wars, the wealthy equities class-loaned huge sums to the state. This wasn't patriotism, it was an investment. And like any investment, it needed returns, interest, privileges, commercial monopolies. War became an industry. As long as it was profitable, Rome waged more of it. Sound familiar? As this structure grew, everything changed. Generals gained power. Senators became shareholders of war. Private companies called publicani handled everything from tax collection to logistics and filled their pockets. In short, a toe-gate military-industrial complex was born. But the cost? It started to explode. Soldier salaries, debt repayments. When income wasn't enough, Rome turned to the oldest trick in the book, debasing the currency. Starting with Nero, the silver content in the denarius was reduced. Later emperors continued the pattern. Money that was once trusted became an empty promise. The result? Inflation, collapse of confidence, a broken financial system. The rich grew richer. The lower classes, they paid taxes with devalued money, received fewer services, and carried the weight of endless wars. This wasn't just a military collapse. It was a monetary collapse. Now fast forward to today. Massive budget deficits. Wars financed by debt. Central banks printing money to cover the gap. A financial class fed by the defense industry. An economic system that must constantly expand just to stay alive. Maybe this isn't Rome exactly. But the DNA is identical. Here's Rome's lesson in one sentence. Expansion addiction eventually hits a wall. No new lands, no new resources, no new enemies left. Revenue runs out. Debt stays. And the state turns on its own people. Rome did it with heavy taxes, currency decay, and control. Today the names are different. Tax policy, monetary policy, quantitative easing. But the mechanism is the same. The wealthy accumulate assets. The poor struggle in the supermarket with melting salaries. Wars are still financed with debt. And who pays the bill? You know the answer. Once a system becomes dependent on debt, exceptional measures become normal. Everyone keeps saying everything is fine just to keep the engine running, until it's not. This is why financial history isn't just the past. It's a warning. Rome built a system where private finance captured power. The economy depended on expansion. Money was hollowed out, and the people were crushed under the weight. Not because they were evil, but because the system was designed so that it couldn't stop. Today's empire is different, digital, global, invisible, but the game is the same. Money and power walk side by side. War is profitable. Inflation crushes the weak. And illusions work until they don't. So what can you do? See the pattern. Most people don't. Understand that inflation isn't random. Taxes aren't just a necessary evil, and debt isn't the same as freedom. The Stoics had one word for this: illusion. You can't fully escape the system, but you can stop playing blindly. You can strengthen your resilience, and with your money, your knowledge, your mindset, learn financial history, follow the signals, and ask yourself, when I stay confused, who wins? Because you weren't supposed to know any of this. You weren't supposed to know how Rome financed its wars, or how modern states do it now. But now you do. And once you know, there's no going back. Financial literacy isn't just budgeting, it's understanding power, it's decoding the system, it's pulling back the curtain on the illusion. Next time you hear about a new war, crisis, or stimulus package, just watch. Follow the money. Who is lending?